place and time in the history of the Africans and the Americans. The African people who came to America came essentially from the coasts of West Africa, from the great kingdoms of the Akan, the Fantis, the Ashantis, the Benins, the Yoruba, the Nuques, the Malis, the Songhai. So we are descendants, therefore, of those great nations and those great chiefs and kings of that great era in our history.
That you become proud then. So you're talking about LA, Dallas, Chicago, New York, Miami, all of the big cities in North America, and even the small ones, are all being influenced in some way, shape, form, or fashion by some facet of African culture. So it's happening before my eyes, and so I'm very happy to see that.
We have to investigate that. It has to be a diligent investigation by anyone considering themselves black, brown, one-drop theory, African, Latino. You have to investigate the culture that you have not been told about, because it is tantamount to having many riches in a room and not entering that room.
Sageman, you'll never be able to bring African religion back here because there's too many gods in it. It's too complicated. It's too difficult. Our people will never understand it. Here we are, and we have established priesthoods for a vast number of gods which he never dreamed that it was possible to introduce. We accomplished what we set out to do. That was to build a Yoruba settlement. Since that time, we have concentrated on the construction and the development of temples and shrines for the gods of Africa. Remember, if we have a culture, we have guidelines. And certainly, in the traditional Yoruba culture, it was up to the kings to order that new temples and shrines be established. Priesthoods decided that they wished to enhance the prestige of their particular god or goddess, and thereby financed out of their own resources temples and shrines for their gods and goddesses. Somehow, we Africans have lost our way.
People without a clear vision of what the future can be, doomed to repeat it. And my dear people, we as human beings are continuing to repeat the dysfunction. It is sad to see that in this day and age, after all of the marches, the civil rights marches, and all of the laws put in place and all of the technology that's available, the young people are dying at a faster rate. A direction. You have to really investigate a direction. You have to read history to know where we're going today.
So we Yoruba here, we Yoruba Americans, have obviously then to follow only in the footsteps of our ancestors. To use our resources, our money, our energies, our hands in order to develop. And all of the institutions which exist in the Western world today, which had their origin in our culture and society, we can then better understand how they developed.
True African brotherly love. We've been kept from it, and so we have to find it. There was a book called They Took It, and we have to replace it. And so it's more than just a notion. It is investigation and implementation.
We have to be the examples that our ancestors provided. We have to bring back the tenets and the beauty of the culture that existed before the invaders arrived.
Who, like the men who came here to build Oyotunji, were building temples, building shrines.
That's it.
And so that then is why we venerate, as it were, a system of workers who are here called the Dokwe. The Dokwe built everything that you see here. I am compelled by spiritual force. I can't resist to swear my eternal allegiance to the king and to the flag of the Yorubas, etc., etc., etc. The point is that we are compelled by a spiritual force which we cannot resist. That force, as we all know, of course, is our ancestors, the force of our gods. And so anything that we decide we want to do, if we want to transform Afro-American society, depend upon it, we can do it, we will do it, we have done it. Already, when in any city that you go, somebody is going to know about Orisha. But nevertheless, this represents the fact that we are indeed changing and altering permanently, not just for the lifetime of the leader, as in so many other societies and organizations, and not just for a few years, as long as the name of the organization can be remembered, but permanent, indelible, obvious changes. And that is what makes a great difference. Many people have made some changes, but too subtle to really last, too subtle to really pass on. Here the emphasis is on dramatic, bold, formulated change, major change in Afro-American society, and we Yorubas are accomplishing it. Unlike anyone who has done, we're changing names, changing clothes, changing architecture, changing marriage forms, changing diet, changing shoes, changing dress, cosmetics, everything. Being permanently, fundamentally changed.
Tell you what, my father left us a 13-acre village in South Carolina, and with option to expand and buy more land. And we have people all around us with land. Let me tell you what we can do. We can grow food on all of these excess lots of property where all the local people consider farming and slavery still. We can go and show them different. We can get out there and plant crops. Call our people in who got tractor trailers, hire them to take the crops to market. A whole truckload of sweet potatoes can go to market from the land around here. This is what we can do to stick it to the man.
If we have an African community, the African community should have African stores owned by African gardens. Our food should come directly from our community, from the rooftop.
This is injustice. It's been going on, and this is what I want to say today. With this shirt, no more violence. I mean no more violence. I don't want to see any more black men dying. I don't want to see any policeman stopping you all when you go to DeSoto because you're a black man. I'm tired of all of that. I am sick of that. I was sick of that before my baby died. That's why I'm standing here. Because black men and black women, we need to stand up and tell them no more of this. Because we're citizens of the United States of America. I'm tired of it. And long live T-Mom.
Because if we are to solve the problems which our people face, and all of us certainly know what they are, we argue them every day, and we come up with all kinds of suggestions and ideas. But the fact of the matter is that we will have to resettle and build our own towns. Both Islam and Christianity were imports. They could not rebuild African culture. The only religion that can build African culture is African religion. Huh? And I think we've seen that. Christianity can't build African religion. It doesn't build African architecture. It does not spawn African art. Islam doesn't spawn any art except design. And we can't deny that it's beautiful. It's wonderful. These are all gorgeous, glorious religions, fine things, but not for us.
Sure.
They're not ours. They won't preserve our heritage, our civilization, nor build it.
Sure.
They won't advance it one jot. And that is a fact.
That's a fact.
And point of fact, they can only retard it, and they have.
And so it's no point in us continuing to think that our elected leaders are going to pull this off for us.
How can anybody be in charge of all of this mess?
They taught us how to picket and how to beg and how to be and a bunch of Fagin-like organizations which taught black Americans how to get money out of the pockets of the whites, but essentially they gave us no real area of power. They did not bequeath an area of power to us. Some say, well, they did leave us a ballot, but we put Jimmy Carter in there. Huh? The African Americans put Jimmy Carter in there, but he wasn't really able to do a thing for us. He didn't do as much for us as Garvey did. Garvey was working under a handicap. And all these ballots then, supposedly our power, did not really accomplish anything. All the black politicians who are there have not kept our youth from constantly degenerating, and our manhood and womanhood from degenerating and going to prison. Large numbers every day, a vast horde, a vast legion of African American males and females, boys and girls, march to the prisons.
American history is a brutal history. It's a bloody history. And so when we ask why do people murder themselves, why are people killing each other, why is there a violent crime in America every 5 seconds, look at the history.
So much so that they are building larger and larger prisons. They're trying to devise new ways in which they can make them so that they can be expanded. Have enormous areas of territory. Build a prison in the front of it so that you can always keep adding new wings to it until it covers maybe 30, 40, 50, 60 acres of prison. Because they realize the black Americans, the Afro-Americans, as we prefer, are hardly likely to improve their mentality or their direction. There is no indication. In point of fact, annually, there has been a deterioration in the vision of the African Americans, until it has degenerated to the point that the biggest aspiration of the intellectual Afro-American is to get money out of the Americans some kind of way. But not to create industry. The only person in Afro-American history, honestly, that I really respect was Booker T. Washington. Because he would have left us something. He wanted us to corner Southern agriculture. If we had cornered Southern agriculture, you realize the state we're in now would be controlled by Africans?
That's right.
That in all the things that go to make for agriculture and foodstuffs, all the packaging and all of that would be ours.
If there's 6 million African practitioners, then they'd have to buy 6 million dashikis. And all of that has to be made by our people in this country. They can grow the cotton, they can do the weaving, they can do the sewing, and they can do the selling. And so my father always sought to weave business and trade in as an aspect, a major aspect of African Memorial Day. And so that's why at Oyotunji, during the Egungun Festival, it's the largest festival. Because buses come, many people come from all around. Tour buses, van loads, car loads. They want to go and see that African village where they're doing that African Memorial Day celebration.
We have to be industrialists. We must think in big terms. The gods are cosmic forces, enormous in scope, endless in power. There's absolutely no reason then why we should be timid about anything, shy about anything, or in any kind of way hesitant to move ahead. Solving problems. That's our business.
That's it.
That's what we do here at Oyotunji. There is no problem which we face. No matter how big the tree was, we could root it out if we decided to do so.
That's it.
Yeah. And remember, all this ground out here was some enormous trees that you walk on here now and drive your cars on. Oh, that was some trees. Remember them?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir.
Remember them, Chief?
Yes, sir.
I mean.
Yes, sir.
And so, we've accomplished what we set out to do. Anything we want to do. Our vision must be unlimited. We do not have to think in terms of whether or not the next presidential administration will let us do this, or you think they will allow us this, or if we get the right man in, then we're going to be able to do this. We don't have to worry about getting the right man in at anything. We've got the right God, we've got the right religion, we got the right king, we got the right priests, we got the right chiefs, we got the right kings, and we got the right spot. So all we have to do is just enlarge on that as big as our eyes or our minds can think or perceive. So don't be afraid to invest your money in all your children. Don't be afraid to invest your money in all your children. It is going to be there when you need it. When you advance in years and you want to settle or you want a vacation annually, we're setting up a vacation program for you.
Children at a young age are ready to build bridges and work on all sorts of new ideas, but we give them the Mickey Mouse Club. And so we louse them up from a very, very, very early age. If we cannot educate our own children, then we should expect to see the same things over and over again.
Really, we have no power base to pass on to the next generation. We have to do that. This generation of us here have a responsibility and a duty to see to it that we do bequeath to these little kids running around here and out in the ghettos all over America. We have to leave them something. Something that is clear, definite, uncompromising. Something that is not pussyfooting, not mealy mouth, but something very strong, definite, clear direction and organization, and that is money making. Because without it, you can't succeed in this country. I think it was Grover Cleveland, one of those presidents, who said the business of America is business. If you don't understand that, you mistakenly think the business of America is religion, or being good, or being wise, or being educated, you miss the boat. You'll find yourself in the back rows, always in the back of the bus. The business of America is business.